The purpose of this video is to show you how to import DXF files in Raptor. We start by going to File, then Import, and then DXF. And the DXF window opens up. Here we can add files. These would be the files that we want to import, and we're going to start with Demo 1. Simply say Open. Then we're going to go to the Options tab. Here on the Options tab, we need to select the profile that we are importing. I'm going to go to the Select Profile button. Then I'm going to select the profile that I'm importing at this time. This particular profile happens to be a UPN 140, so I select that and say OK. And you see that it's listed here as a UPN 140. Here you can also set the DXF units to be inches, although in my experience, in most cases they are not. Whether it's foreign or domestic, the DXF files are generally do not need to have this selected as DXF units to be inches. The Shape Options tab, you notice that we have different tabs for different profiles. They are all essentially the same. There are a few differences between angle and channel and so forth because of the shape of the profile itself, but they're all basically the same. It does allow you to set up each different profile the way you want to set it up, so that you may do one thing on a channel that you wouldn't do on an angle or you wouldn't do on a plate. So you can set those up individually. And since we're importing a channel at this time, we're going to go ahead and work on the Channel tab. Here I can say whether I'm going to import this or not, and of course, since that's what I'm doing, I do want to have that selected. And here I can select which features I want to import. I want to import copes, holes, and pop marks. You'll notice there are no scribes here that can be imported. All lines within a DXF file will be imported as a cope, or it will be a line that defines the perimeter of the surface itself. So the perimeter of a flange or a web or something like that. Any other lines will be imported as cope lines. Here we're setting the DXF reference. This is the reference point for all features on the part, whether they're copes or holes or whatever. And I'm going to set them all to be X prime Y, which is top left, for all surfaces. I can also tell it whether or not to create flange copes from copes on the flange edge. In this case, I do not need that to be selected, so I'm going to uncheck that. These are any lines that are running along the edge of the surface. They can be used to define that surface. You can set the maximum round hole diameter. I have that set for 38 millimeters. Maximum oval hole diameter or slotted hole, I have that set for 50. Maximum square hole width, I have set for 20. Anything that is larger than these values, so if I have a square hole that's larger than 20, or an oval or slotted hole that's larger than 50 in length, or a round hole that is larger than 38, those holes will be turned into copes. So if I had a 55 millimeter long slot, regardless of the width of it, but if the length of it was, say, 55 millimeters, that would automatically be turned into a cope because it's larger than this value. That's what these maximum values are for. I can also set the maximum pop mark diameter. In this case, I set it for 3 millimeters. Any circular holes or any circular features on the part that are 3 millimeters and smaller will turn into pop marks. Here you can set an exterior and interior tolerance if you need to. So if your lines don't go all the way to the edge of the surface, this can be used as a tolerance to help that. Generally, I leave this at 0 as well, assuming that the part is drawn correctly. You can also choose to convert a point to a pop mark. So if there's a point in the DXF file itself, that will also be turned into a pop mark. And with channel, if it's drawn with the legs away or legs down, we can choose to import it that way. In this case, the legs are towards us, and we're going to import it without this checked. So we simply go back to the General tab and hit Go, and we see that one shape is created. We can close this window, expand this, double-click the part, and look at it, and here we see all this long row of holes and then the other holes in the other line here. And then you see copes on both ends. Basically, those are flange miters, but they're importing as copes. So that part is imported. Then we're going to go import the other part that I have there. So I'm going to go back to Import, DXF, say Add Files, Demo 2, Open. Then I have to select my profile. In this case, the profile is a UPN 120. And I say OK. And because I already have my Shape tab set up, I can go back to the General tab now and hit Go. Now, if I wanted to import multiple files, I could import more than one file at a time, as long as they're all the same profile. So in this case, as long as they were all UPN 120s, I could import multiple files at the same time. I simply hit the Go button. Once again, it shows that the part was imported. I close the window, double click on the part, and it shows me the part with these cope features on the web and some holes in the top flange, a miter on this end as well. And that's how you import DXF files in Raptor.